Welcome back to another episode. Welcome back to another episode of the Know Your Power podcast. I'm your host, Kendall Aaliyah.
And I'm Julia Renee.
Should I leave that in? Fail?
It'd be funny.
Okay.
I think it'd be really funny.
We're off to a great start because I'm supposed to lead this episode and I can't even talk.
But also, once we get the intro audio, the thing that you've been working on, we can stop doing the twinkly.
Yes.
Because I saw someone comment too, and they're like, we don't mind the twinkly. I don't know why I call it. But they're like, we would love the audio thing instead. And I was like, that was the day that we literally filmed it. And I was like, we literally said that in today's episode.
It might be by this one. I was going to talk to you after this. I'd rather us, I think, film something of us speaking over of like, I'm Julia Renee, IFBB Pro, and I say whatever I am. And then like, welcome back to the Know Your Power podcast together or something. Okay. And that way it can be, I just need better audio because I don't like taking clips of what we've already said. It doesn't look good.
Okay.
So yeah.
Let's do that.
Okay.
We can just say like random things like slay.
Sure.
Skinny legend.
Anyway, today's episode is talking all about how to get abs because I feel like this is just one of those things where like when people start their fitness journey, I feel like it's one of the most common physique goals I get told, at least from like my clients, is like, I want a flat stomach. I want like a toned stomach. I want defined abs, whatever that looks like for you and your goal. We're going to talk about how to get there today.
How to do it.
Was that always a goal for you?
Yes.
It was like I put it on such a pedestal of like, when I get a six pack, yes, I've made it. Yeah. Like that's all I need.
I think abs were what I want a big booty is to now.
I agree.
Like back when we were younger, it was abs.
Yeah.
It was those
I feel like
workouts.
It's kind of coming back though. I don't know.
Weirdly.
Yeah. But yeah, we've done all of the mistakes, so you don't have to. We've done the Pinterest 500 crunches and think we're going to see results and we don't. And we're like, what am I doing wrong? We've done all the things. So we're just going to kind of break it down into a few different sections today. First off is like a genetic disclaimer that I feel like I need to put out there. Abs are very much so genetic, just like the rest of your physique. Like some people grow glutes really easily. Some people grow biceps really easily. Other people naturally have abs, a little higher body fat than others. Like I feel like we all knew that one kid in high school or like even middle school that like didn't work out, didn't eat right, and he somehow had an 8-pack. And you're like, how? And it's just because he has a genetic disposition that sets him up for good abs,
100%.
Which must be nice. I'm assuming if you're listening to this, you're not one of those people, and neither are we. So that's why I feel like we can properly dive into it. But of course, those are like the outliers of the group, right? So like, we're not really talking to you today. You don't need our help.
Yeah, get out of here.
Get out of here.
You always having freak.
I'm just so jealous.
We're just jealous.
The first thing I want to talk about is the phrase abs are made in the kitchen. I feel like we've all heard that our whole life. Every time you Google like how to get abs, it's some fitness professional being like abs are made in the kitchen. What does that actually mean? Mm-hmm. It means that abs are made with proper nutrition more than proper training. Mm-hmm. You need both. You need to properly train, and we're going to talk about that later. It's still very much so important. But what's more important is how you eat, because you need to eat properly in order to aid in getting abs and being lean enough to see your abs.
Yes. I did this like Instagram story a couple weeks ago where I was like, these are the 3 reasons why you don't have abs.
Oh, I didn't even see this.
I did. I just remembered that I did it now. And I was like, damn it, I should have added it to this outline.
That's
but
okay.
If I'm going to remember them correctly, number 1 was your body fat's too high.
Yeah.
Number 2 was you don't actually have enough muscle in order for them to pop when you are lean enough.
Yeah.
And then number 3 is like your nutrition is crap. And the reason, like you were saying too, with the level of leanness, like I used in that story a difference of like what my abs look like versus someone. Have you ever seen Nutty Foodie Fitness, her Instagram?
Googling.
She has abs all the time, just genetically super, super gifted. And there's people that have those abs that just like, they push out more and they're like blocks.
Yeah, she looks nuts.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've never not seen her with
That's another
abs.
thing that can partially be genetic based is like, we all know there's people that are really lean, like even show lean or even on stage that have more of like a 4-pack instead of an 8-pack. And you're like, they must not train hard enough. Sometimes it's just genetically how your abdominals lay on your body. So yes, we can teach you how to get lean enough to see them and how to build them up, but still they may not look how you're expecting if you're comparing yourself to someone else.
100%.
All of us are different. Our abs look different. Yours is going to look different from ours. So we can teach you all the tools to get to your best abdominal muscles. That doesn't mean they're going to look a certain way though. So keep that in mind also through all of this. So the first thing you need, like we were saying, is to get lean enough. You need to drop body fat to be at a place where you're lean enough to visibly see lines through your stomach.
And here's the caveat to that.
Yes.
Which is annoying, is that you're not going to lose body fat in the places that you want and choose to lose it. Typically, the place where you hold the most body fat is the last place to go.
Yep.
So, for example, I hold the most body fat in my tummy and in my back.
Which I think stomach is the most common, like universal, male or female, does not matter. All of us hold body fat someplace in our abdominals. For me, it's like a little more on the sides and the lower stomach. I know some people hold it like a little higher up or more in their back. But either way, that midsection is usually the last place to go, sadly, on all of us. So just keep working at it too. You may feel like you're lean enough, and there is no like perfect body fat percentage, but that like 18 to 28 range, I believe, for females. And I think it's like 14 to 20 for guys. I could totally be wrong on the guys, but I know for females, I'm correct. That body fat percentage is usually when you start to see that ab definition. Of course, depending still on genetics.
Yeah, there's some people that will see them so much quicker just because the abs are either more developed or they're just genetically more gifted in that area. That's totally fine. Like, I'll have leaner arms and legs like year round, and then my stomach is not. And it's always, grass is always greener. Like, oh, how do you keep your legs so lean? Like, I have one of my friends, Alexa. She is a figure pro now, which is awesome.
So cool to say.
And I'm seeing her physique, and we were prepping like alongside of each other. And I was like, dude, your abs are insane. I was like, I feel like you're ready, because that's how I view if I'm ready.
Yeah.
And she goes, no, girl. She says, this is the place that I lose it first. And she's like, my glutes and my hamstrings, they hold on to dear life for the body fat. And I was like, oh.
I am kind of similar to her, where I'll see lines in my abs before I see like my hamstring tie-in come in. Like that for me is truly last if I'm trying to get that lean. But yeah, usually that like 18-ish body fat percentage, for most people, you'll start to see visible abs. But of course, it can be outliers where you don't see it until you're in like the 14, 13, like lower teens, you know? So anyway, you can't spot reduce. That was a good note to add, because I feel like so many people are like, I'll just do 1,000 crunches and that'll burn it all. And it's like, nope, sadly not how it works at all.
Girl, I wish.
I fully wish. So instead, you need to lose overall body fat. And we've talked about this many times, so I'm not going to like reiterate so in detail, but the biggest thing you need to be is in a caloric deficit. And again, we've covered this a million times, but to simplify it, you need to be burning more than you're consuming. And you can do this a few different ways. You need to find out your maintenance calories, which is, oh, if I eat this and I train how I usually train and I live life how I usually live it, my body's not changing at all. And from there, you need to create a deficit. And you can do that by increasing your activity or lowering your calories, or a little bit of both, which is how we typically do it, just to create a little gap there where now your body is going to be losing weight, because you need to lose weight. Like, odds are, if you're watching this video, you're not seeing ab definition yet. You don't know what's going on. You're training really hard. You're hitting abs and you don't get it. It's most likely because your body fat is too high, where you just can't see those lines yet. Yeah, you just need to lose weight. And I know it's like hard to hear that, especially the whole abs are made in the kitchen. You're like, but I trained so hard for them. It's like you can't out train a bad diet. Ever.
And this is kind of similar, same, but different. Like, there'll be a lot of girls that will DM me that are on prep for a bodybuilding show, and they're, in a caloric deficit. They're trying to lose body fat so that you can see their muscles, and they're like, my glutes are gone. And I'm like, that's because you didn't have enough glute muscle. Yeah. And I know that that's like a harsh thing to hear, because I feel that same thing, because think of your butt like this. It's like you have your muscle,
Yep.
whatever is actual muscle. And then when you have more body fat, you have that layer of fat that is covering it, which can look amazing when you're like in the off season.
Yeah, you got them curves.
And you have like those curves, and you be one of those girls that like carries the fat in their glutes. I wish, like, it looks so beautiful. And then when you lose that body fat, that's where you can truly see the actual muscle that you have.
Yeah.
Same thing goes with the abs.
Yeah, agreed. Another thing I want to talk about, as far as like, say you are doing everything right and you're like, I'm in a caloric deficit, I'm getting really lean, I see it in the rest of my body, and I know I should have abs. Like, I've been dieting long enough and training hard enough. Why am I still not seeing it? Another factor to consider is bloat management. I feel like so many people, and we talked a little last episode about like inflammation and being bloated and thinking that's normal. It's not normal. Your your stomach shouldn't be distended after every single meal, and you shouldn't walk around every day like if you're lean enough, you should have a flat-ish stomach. Of course, we have ovaries and organs, and it's not going to be like perfectly flat, but it shouldn't be as distended as I feel like certain people, and me included, because I'm a very reactive girly. That's why I've cut so many things out of my diet, is because I was having such bad bloating issues, and I wasn't understanding why my stomach wasn't flat, even though I was like sub 15% body fat at a certain point. So bloating management is so important. I recommend, if you're someone that really does get bloated after like every meal or at the end of every day and you can't figure it out, I recommend doing a food sensitivity test and finding out what you're intolerant to. There's one by Everlywell that you can order on Amazon or get at Target sometimes, that is like, you just prick your finger, you drop some blood on a paper, and then you ship it in, and they tell you your intolerances. And it's not like a super comprehensive, crazy panel, but it is a really good just like first understanding of like, oh, I shouldn't be having wheat. I didn't realize I was allergic to that or like intolerant to that. Another way more in-depth, like way more comprehensive, tells you everything, every detail of things to avoid, things to have more of, like all of that, like gives you a really good understanding of your gut health, is the Viome test. And we can link both of these down below or in our story too. But the Viome and Everlywell are two really good places to start. Everlywell, I think, is a little more affordable, but again, not as comprehensive. So it depends what you want to get. Yeah. But I recommend that honestly to anyone, even if you don't bloat a lot, because it helps you understand your gut health. And gut health is so underrated for every part of fitness, like, and mental health too, like 100%. Mental clarity, body clarity. You'll start to see lines that you weren't having before because you'll stop being so inflamed. Like, it's just so important, in my opinion.
I literally, you know me, I never really struggle with any digestive issues or, you know, I definitely bloat, like depending on like if I'm on my period or stuff like that, but like it's not something that's common.
It's not like digestive bloating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this past weekend, for about 5 days, I didn't go to the bathroom. That never happens to me. Yeah. I don't know what happened, what was up 5 days.
You know, I was the same.
This weekend?
Not over the week before. This weekend, my body fixed itself, and I was like, yes.
Monday.
That's when I woke up with abs, because I wasn't bloated anymore.
Too. Monday morning, I finally had a poop.
Yep.
A real
I'm so
one.
happy for you.
And I was like, oh my God, this has been, I don't know what. Maybe it was running scared. It was running scared. Anyways. But it seriously, like my physique changed so drastically from that. And I remember feeling my lower abdomen like distended and uncomfortable. And that's not normal for me. So it was very, very obvious. And there's also some other things that you can do to help manage it first before you even do like a food sensitivity test, like making sure you're actually getting enough fiber in through the day. A lot of us with the diet that we have are not actually having foods that are high in fiber. Or
on the flip side, I've actually done a lot of research. Like if your fiber is too high, it can cause the same exact issues of not having enough. So you want to find that sweet spot for you, your body weight, and your body type.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's so true. And then things like taking greens and reds, I swear to you, a lot of people are always like, if you take greens and reds, you're not going to be like reduce bloat, belly fat. That's not what they mean. When you take greens and reds, they're super high in antioxidants. They can give you a lot of energy and focus through the day. You're getting like sometimes 50 servings of your fruits and vegetables. It can help reduce bloat because your digestive stuff is on on track.
Yeah.
That's why. It's not
Agreed.
like you take this, your bloat's going to be gone forever.
Same thing with digestive enzymes. Like I'm a huge fan of those, and I'm not taking it being like, this is going to make this food disappear. And it's like, no, it's just going to help my body actually break these down faster. That way I'm digesting it properly.
Keep everything going.
And then you use it more, which like, of course you want to be using your carbs instead of just feeling bloated from them. And then the other thing is I always recommend to everyone like a pre or probiotic. It's just so important to keep your gut healthy. Basically, like everything we're saying is like, you can be as lean as humanly possible. And I've done it. Like I've had like full visible six pack, but I'm so bloated that one, I'm not even confident enough to show my stomach. Like I'm in big t-shirts every day because I feel awful. And number two, like all the lines in my lower belly become blurred because I'm just so distended and inflamed all the time. So all of those things, like check off the list, make sure you're doing all of that on top of proper nutrition, because one without the other still won't get the results that you're looking for.
Exactly. Yeah. And also, because your next one is talking about water intake, I'm wondering, because of how much water I drink, because those 5 days that I just like didn't poop, I was water loading before that, and then my water got cut.
Could be why.
And then my poopy stopped.
I'm such a child
So
where
I'm like,
that word will never not make me laugh. I'm so sorry.
So I'm like, that could be a thing.
Probably.
But
because
then also I started taking a new fiber supplement.
Could be a mix.
Because I'm curious, I'm like, was I taking too much? It could have been a thing. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll ask my
But
coach.
that's where I'm and if you don't have a coach, it comes down to like trial and error, where there's still some foods, like I found out semi-recently, like eggs are not great on my digestive tract. And that was something where I just cut them out for a week and went, oh, I feel so much better. Never putting those back in my diet plan, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just like, just try some things out and see how your body reacts, because like you just don't want to feel bloated. And especially like if we're helping you get abs and you get there and you don't feel good in your skin, like that's the worst feeling. Like you want to be proud of all the work you're putting in. So if like being bloated is the one thing, I feel like that's an easy fix. Like there's so much research and supplements on the market that can help aid in making that bloat go away. And then back to the water thing. I think just like consistent water intake is so important. And we both know that this is something I'm not great at, but the times in my life where I am really good and I'm like on my water for like even 1 week, it just makes everything work better. Like your digestive's better, you sweat more with cardio, like all of these things that aid in getting that like flatter toned stomach.
I mean, water is flushing. It's flushing your body. And if you're not drinking any water, you don't have nothing to flush nothing.
Exactly.
And sometimes, like when competitors say they're holding on to water, your body will hold on to the little water that you have and that you're feeding it because it doesn't know when it's going to get more. So that's what bodybuilders talk about when it's like on stage and they're like, oh, they were holding on to a lot of water.
Yeah.
So that could also be happening.
I feel like that's such a misconception too, or at least when I got into my fitness journey, I was like, oh, why would I drink a gallon a day? I don't want to look watery. And it's like, no, it does literally the exact opposite. When you drink enough, your body regulates. When you don't drink enough, exactly what you're saying, your body holds on to the little bit of hydration you're giving it.
And then you just look poof.
Yeah, it gives you like a lot of soft lines. You won't get those like sharp oblique lines or like shoulder, glute, ham, any of it if you're dehydrated.
Yeah,
hydration's important.
Quit being a dry ass, crusty girl.
It also, it just doesn't feel good.
Be a dry, crusty girl.
So that covers most of nutrition. Basically, you just need to be in a caloric deficit until you get to a lean enough body fat for you to visibly see those lines or have a flat enough stomach. And again, you can't spot reduce, sadly. So usually you have to lose it generally. And sometimes abs are that last place to go. So just stay consistent through it. I know it's not fun when everything else is lean and you're like, where are my abs?
Yes.
Another thing that helps with it, which we're going into now, is how to train for your abs. It is just like abdominals are muscles, right? Just like any other muscle, you need to train it because like what you were saying, you can maybe be lean enough, but you don't have abs that pop because you haven't developed your abdominal muscles enough to do so. So we're going to cover like a few of our favorite exercises and stuff like that, and also how often to train them. I want to add real quick that also, just like every other muscle, you can really build your abdominals. And sometimes, just as women, not always what we're looking for
Yes.
or like what's desirable. So like if you view like a CrossFit woman, right? They train heavy, intense, hard abs, and that's what creates that really blocky, pushed out ab, which is what they're going for. But if you're someone who's like, oh, I don't want abs like that intense, I want like more of like a slimmer, like again, genetics play a role, but I would say stay away from like really heavy, really intense. I made this mistake, which is why I'm sharing it. And again, if you want like bulky abs, go for it. I'm not telling you that's a bad thing. I'm just saying I think general population usually wants like that like slim six-pack look, whatever. I did really heavy obliques my first few years getting into the gym. Like I'm not kidding, every day. I did heavy obliques every day, and now my abdominals, because I built them up to be this way and I didn't understand how training your abs worked, I built them up where my obliques became so thick and I was so unhappy with how wide my waist was getting. And I didn't put two and two together that, oh, I'm training this muscle and I'm training them heavy and often. They're building. It builds like any other muscle. So just keep that in mind. Still train abs, still train them often. You don't have to train them every day. And you also don't have to train them to failure or as heavy as you can like we do with other muscles. So I'm a big fan of body weight ab exercises. I don't use a weight on anything anymore just because I learned very quickly that I do gain, like I can gain ab mass very quickly, just like I do everywhere else on my body. That's just like my genetics is I put on muscle easily if I'm trying to. So keep that in mind. I recommend training abs like 2 to 3 times a week, usually on my normal training days, or sometimes even if I want like a fun active rest day and I just want to like stretch and do some abs, I'll just like add it in there. How often do you train abs?
My coach has it, I think, let me look at my program.
Aggressively?
I can't find it, but mine will be usually it'll be like after my cardio sessions. No more than 4 times a week. So it'll be like, most likely it's like 3.
Yeah.
And I'm very similar to where mine are very body weight. If I do anything that is weight, it'll be like a very, very light ball to do Russian twists.
Yeah.
And it's very, very light. So I focus mainly on doing body weight because I don't want to put on like actual mass at my abs. Like the way that like ideally I know that our abs are different, that I want mine to look is like Francielle. Like Fran, hers don't pop out. Like
she has very like, I don't know how to describe, like just a tight core.
It's just a tight, tiny waist. Like it's, and that's the look that I'm going for. So I don't necessarily do any like weighted cable crunches or anything.
Which I used to though. So I know I definitely still have like residual of those exercises. So like a little bit of weights thrown in here and there, especially if you're someone where you're like, I've never trained abs, it could help you build them up faster. Sure. I think we're just both at a point where we've trained enough to just kind of maintain our ab muscles now. Like we don't have to put on ab muscles, if that makes sense. Yes. I'm going to share some of my favorites and then I want to hear yours. And I also want you to talk about vacuuming because I feel like that is also very important when talking about core exercises. One of my favorites are 2, planks and hollow holds, because similar to a vacuum, that's one of the 2 of the few exercises where you're working really deep in your core and you're really squeezing in and controlling your breathing and holding those 2. And they're almost a form of like training abs with a vacuum, or at least in my head, when I do them, I am like really deeply contracting my abs. And then for more like the outer core abdominal area, I love hanging leg raises. Those were like my best friend when I was like really getting into fitness and like learning a lot about abs. I haven't done them much recently. Also lying leg raises. And we can put photos on the story if that helps. V-ups / tuck-ups, love. I think because I was a gymnast and we did hundreds of those every single practice, those are just like almost fun for me and I still feel them, so I'm like win-win. And then I also love toe touches because I feel that the most in like my upper ab region.
I love all of those.
Nice.
Usually what I'll do is like, I usually do a circuit. Every time I do it, it's a circuit. I'll start with 30-second hold of doing the vacuums first. And
which for me, that's like my 30-second plank or hollow hold. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'll go into either like a plank or a plank with a side hip swivel to where my hips go to the left, to the right. This is probably why my obliques look the way that I do. Maybe I should stop doing so many of those. And then after that, it's like a lying trying leg raise, and I'm really focusing on feeling it in the lower part of my abs. And then I've been doing one of my favorite ones to do is a V up, but putting a ball underneath my foot, like one of those big like Bosu ball things. And I put my feet, like the tops of my feet flat on it, and I make a plank first. And then I V up my butt to the sky. I love doing those.
Makes sense.
Like, that's my form of like my type of like crunch.
Yeah.
I hate doing just traditional like sitting crunches.
Yeah,
like
same. I don't think I've ever made clients like do crunches like ever. Also they're just boring. Not that they're like necessarily bad, but I do feel, I feel higher ab activation and other things. And like, if you look at all of the exercises we listed, all of them are creating that like hollowed, like really sucked in deep core movement where you don't want to be like pushing out a ton or like my biggest pet peeve. And I try to really help my clients with this because I hate to see it and I just know it's not getting them the results they think is a lot of people think they have to do abs like super fast. Again, back to that, like it's gonna burn my stomach fat off. So like bicycle crunches I feel like are such a good visual where people just go as fast as they can, blah, blah, blah. And it's like if you slowed down and contracted and controlled and made every single movement super intentional, you'll feel it way deeper. Your abs are gonna get better results and you'll actually build that muscle up, which is the intent of training abs. You're not gonna lose body fat by doing crunches.
It's like
sadly.
It's almost like you're trying to run faster so you burn more you're literally trying to go as fast as you can to like burn as much.
I'm like, no, like go slow and controlled. You can still do high rep. There isn't like a time range. Even when I time myself or clients on ab exercises, it's just to like create structure. It's not to be like, do as many as you can in 10 seconds. It's like, do your normal pace and we'll go for this amount of time. And then we'll move to the next one. Cause I also love circuit training for abs. Cause again, I get bored. I want you to talk just a little more about like what a vacuum is for people who don't know. And I feel like we like discovered it kind of together where like I was already doing them and you were like, what's that? And then you like, now you're the queen of vacuums.
I love them. I can do them standing up now, which I never thought I was going to be able to do.
I was teaching my brother how to do them and I was like, you're going to get on all fours. And he was like, okay.
Yeah, that's
it's easiest
definitely
to
the
start
easiest
that
way to start. Yeah. So vacuums are like a really deep inner core exercise. You see a lot, like if you've ever seen like bodybuilders on stage where they like suck in their tummy.
Think of C-bum.
And you see his ribs, like that's a vacuum. They don't necessarily want you to do that on stage as a woman, but the reason that I practice them is because it is so deep and takes so much control and focus on your abs like unlike anything else. And by me learning how to do that extreme of a way to keep in my abs, when I'm on stage, I'm way more aware of my stomach. And it's actually a lot easier for me to keep my core in because I'm doing it in such an extreme way practicing.
It probably creates that mind to muscle connection because usually we don't like, I think I do because of gymnastics. If I'm being honest, we were taught like tight core, like good posture. But I think like the average human being or me, when I'm not thinking about it, I'm not thinking about engaging my core to keep my back straight. I'm thinking about my back, you know, but it is all connected and creating that like sucked in. I don't know how else to explain it. Just sucked in. Yeah. I feel like you start to understand those deep ab muscles and you can start to feel them.
I'm also on the stories. I've made a couple videos about this. So I'm actually going to link my YouTube video where I show you like how to do vacuums. And I teach you how I learned from like starting as a beginner. You know, it's so much easier to first start like on all fours and then doing it where you're kind of leaning on something with your hands. And then eventually you can go to like standing. One of my favorite ways is to just lay down and put my hands above my head and have my knees actually up a little bit and do it like that. So in that video, I show like the different types of way and how to build up to doing it. And always starting with the goal is to be able to breathe while you do it. At first, you're probably not going to be able to breathe. So,
I feel like I still usually accidentally hold my breath.
Just getting better. Like start with holding it for 5 seconds. Start with 10 seconds, 20 seconds and go up from there. And then now I'm just like, okay, I'm going to hold it for 30 seconds, this one movement, and then I'm going to go and do the rest of my ab circuit. And then I'm going to rest for 2 minutes. I'm going to repeat that for either 3 or 4 rounds.
It's also one of the only movements, I guess, or exercises for your abdominals that is proven to actually be able to like trim your waistline a little bit, because again, you're learning how to contract in those muscles. Is it going to make the biggest difference if you're not doing everything else? No. But if your diet's on point, cardio's on point, you're getting lean enough, like if you're in prep essentially or in a really serious cut, adding these in could be that little difference of like half an inch smaller on that waistline. Literally. If you do these regularly enough. So yeah.
I need to do mine more.
And then the last thing as far as training goes is I do want to mention cardio, because we were talking about like just getting lean enough in general to see abs. And usually we need to implement some sort of cardio in order to do that. Some people don't have to do cardio. Must be nice. Back to those genetically gifted people.
Yeah, freaks.
But when creating that caloric deficit, I do feel like cardio is a prevalent part of the program when you're like, if abs are your only goal and you're like, this is all I want to be lean enough, I want to see that, cardio is going to be a huge part of your workout routine. And we're both a fan of steady state, whether it's like list or miss, just like low intensity or mid intensity. Sometimes we go high intensity, steady state, but that's usually not until like we've already become accustomed to our entire cardio program. But just getting moving in general, just burning that extra little bit of calories is going to make a difference in that caloric deficit and get you to this goal faster. So just wanted a little special mention for cardio.
Cardio. Yes.
Do you have anything else maybe that you did wrong when thinking you wanted to get abs? I was trying to think back to like, I feel like we covered it with like doing really fast crunches is not going to burn body fat. Yeah. Also, when I was doing research for this one, I watched Jeff Nippard's video, and he's so intelligent and so well-spoken. So I highly recommend that one. And we could link that one too. If you want like a very scientific approach to getting abs, he kind of says everything we say, but in a very smart boy way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He had also covered, what was I even going to say with this? Hold on.
You said go watch his video.
No, but there was something from his video I was going to mention. That's okay. I guess if you watch it, you'll find it.
Yeah, you go watch it yourself. I love him.
Why can't I think of it? I love him too. I don't watch his videos enough anymore.
I don't.
I need to go back.
They're boring. No, they're...
See, I love them.
They're fun to watch. He makes it so visually pleasing. So if I'm ever like doing research for something or I need like a little bit of help, I always go to his first, because I know like that there's, a lot of education behind it, but it's not something that I would just leisurely watch, because I would rather listen to it like from us, where I'm like, you know what I mean? Like
we're
that's
like,
how I can digest, or I'm like, I need pictures.
Yeah. Oh, I remember why I brought him up. He had mentioned that so many influencers post like these crazy, like high intensity, like medicine ball slam for the abs, and then like get on the floor and start twisting and then back up and plank twist. And it's like, again, slow controlled movements are typically better, because when we're training abs, we're doing it to build up that muscle. We're not doing it to lose body fat. So like some of the fun, flashy stuff you might see online is not always the best approach to training abs. It's just good reminder there.
True. It just looks good on Instagram.
Yeah, it does look good. And they're fun sometimes. Yes. Like I love a mountain climber. Is that trimming my stomach? No. Yeah. Am I using a little abs? Yes. Am I getting like my heart rate up a little? Yes, but not enough to do like substantial changes.
Every time that I think one of the biggest things that I learned was to slow it down, that from when I first started to now, and I'm like, oh, this is way better, and this is actually way worse, and it hurts way more. Okay. And starting to remove a little bit of the heavy weights. Like I used to literally I would hold like a 45-pound plate in my right arm, and I would scrunch down to the right side. There's nothing wrong with that. So
what I used to do was that, but on the hyperextension machine, so I had even more of a deficit. Like don't ask me. There was one girl, I was getting into bodybuilding. There was this one girl I followed who had the best abs ever. Saw her do it one time, and I said, I'm making that my whole personality. Yeah. And I started doing like weighted hyperextension oblique crunches. And when I tell you, like finally I feel like they're starting to slim a little. My last prep, I'm sure like we'll be sending Chloe some ab photos of ours. Yes. My obliques were like taking up majority of my abs. Like they were huge.
I need to see this.
I'll show you once we're done. It's pretty nuts.
So last thing that I want to say, what was it?
You got this.
No, actually it has nothing to do with abs.
Okay,
so we won't even say it, but let us know down below what was your favorite part of the episode, what did you learn, and also what your favorite ab exercises are, so that potentially we can add them. Look how big my obliques are. Wow.
Are they not huge? Like it's that whole chunk.
I need you to tell me if mine are big. Because I can't tell anymore. Like, I don't even know, honestly, at this point. But all right, y'all. Thanks for listening. And as always, we love you all so much. And you're more powerful than you think.
Bye.